Today, we're discussing a topic that so many couples are experiencing but may find hard to navigate: managing PTSD and menopause together while keeping stress low in your relationship. If you or your partner is dealing with PTSD and one of you is going through menopause, this can be extremely challenging and stressful to the relationship in ways that are difficult to talk about, let alone manage. With PTSD, emotional triggers, flashbacks, and periods of withdrawal are common. While menopause can bring emotional changes that cause mood swings, fatigue, and heightened stress, if you're feeling like your relationship is, strained or under pressure, like in the pressure cooker, you know what I mean? You're not alone. Like, you are just not alone. Today, we're going to explore some strategies on how to deal with that and reduce that stress and support each other through these moments. It's not easy. It's challenging. Getting through these challenges will keep your partnership strong. Let's get into some real life advice that will help you find balance and peace together. Right now, I want to start by acknowledging the stress that these experiences bring to a relationship. If you are experiencing menopause and if you are experiencing menopause, you might feel your body's going through changes that bring unexpected physical and emotional symptoms. Hormonal shifts can lead to mood swings and increased sensitivity, fatigue, or even feelings of disconnection from both your body and or a sense of self. This alone can be a lot to handle. For partners dealing with PTSD, triggers and stress responses can show up in unpredictable ways. PTSD might lead to moments of emotional shutdown, heightened anxiety, flashbacks, or a need for space. These reactions are normal responses to trauma, but they can sometimes create distance and tension in the relationship, especially if they happen when your partner is already feeling vulnerable. So it's good to be aware of these symptoms. It's good to be aware of what's happening with each other, because together, PTSD and menopause, it can create a cycle of stress where one partner's needs feel overwhelming to the other one, or where emotional disconnection becomes a barrier to intimacy and understanding. So it's completely normal if this leaves you both feeling misunderstood. It can even leave you feeling unsure of how to manage everything in your relationship. But the good news is that with understanding and practical strategies, you can reduce the stress and feel closer even during these challenging times. And isn't that what we want? I mean, we want to create an environment where we're thriving together. That takes understanding. Now that we've explored the challenges, let's get into the practical advice, some practical advice that can help to reduce the stress and strengthen your relationship. Here's how you can support each other and help manage these complex dynamics in a way that keeps your connection strong. First, you want to start with being open, compassionate, and you also want to have good communication. Communication is going to be key to managing the stress, especially when both PTSD and menopause are involved. Discuss how each of you is feeling, both physically and emotionally. If you are experiencing menopause, you want to share how your body and your moods are affected and what might be helpful for you. If you're managing PTSD, let your partner know what triggers may look like. And of course, after you've been together for a while, you're going to start to understand what these look like. You might need extra understanding or space. You got to let each other know what you need. Open communication helps you both feel safe and reduces misunderstandings that can lead to stress. Because have you ever been in an argument before? Those are very, very, very stressful. And when one person's not understanding the other, it can feel like you're banging your head against the wall. But when you feel understood, it's a whole different story. You feel loved. You feel calm, right? So we want to create an environment where these difficult times are scarce, and the more calm and enduring times, we have more of them in our life. What we want to do is set aside some time where you both can feel safe to express emotions that can bring stress levels down significantly. Having a space for conversations where you can share what's difficult or what you're grateful for without interruption or judgment is amazing. Knowing that there's dedicated time to connect and to be heard can be a powerful way to release built-up stress and nurture a deeper sense of emotional closeness. Now, I will tell you, we don't have here in my household, we don't have like set times, but I think we have routines. I'm going to give you an example. So I was in a habit of, when my husband comes in, of asking him a lot of questions like, hey, I haven't seen you all day, so excited, and like, hey, like this needs to be done. And when he's coming in the door, this created stress for him. So now when he comes in the door, I don't bombard him with all the things that are going on in the house. And also asking him when he first comes in the door, hey, how was your day? I'm going to get, it was okay. But I might see a look on his face. He might say something. He might have, throw out an expression and not really want to talk about it because there was a trigger that occurred at work. And so that moment may not be the moment to have that discussion. And I might just listen and then we move on, right? Let him go get grounded. He has some time when he gets home, that before he interacts with me, that he gets grounded. And then in the evening, then there's time for release where he can share with me how his day was, what has happened. And what I want to say about this is that it's really important that whether you're in menopause and you're being emotional, or you have PTSD and you're in your own emotions and your own mind and having your own stress response, that sometimes your reactions and your venting can start to sound to the other partner like you are not grateful, as if you are, how do I want to say, like not, and it's not really that they're not grateful, but it sounds that way, right? Or it sounds like you're always the victim. This is kind of a negative side of it, right? Because that's the negativity that comes from the stress response, either from the person that's having menopause or the person having PTSD. So being able to share with the person maybe afterwards and not in the moment that, hey, this is a lot. Are you realizing that you're coming in every day and this is what's happening and this is what I'm hearing? And because we have to have open and clear communication with each other about what's happening, because the idea to release or to decrease the stress response is to have a space where you have more positivity than negativity. And so calling attention there and helping the other person see, whether it's him that's helping me see or I'm helping him see, that we are bringing and holding on to a little bit of negativity that's elevating the stress response, is really key to having and maintaining a really good relationship and a really good environment to nurture your relationship. Now, with that said, menopause and PTSD can make it challenging to get quality time together. You have to set intentional moments of connection to reduce stress on this journey together. Whether it's weekly date night or movie marathon or simply sitting together over coffee in the morning, you want to build up these positive memories that can help, because what it does is it creates a buffer for those moments, right? of enjoyable moments for those times when you're not feeling so great, when you're not feeling so hot about the relationship, where you're not feeling so connected with each other. And this becomes really important, and that can even include acts of kindness, like saying nice things to each other, gratitude, being grateful, showing the person that you're grateful, because these moments of gratitude and all of these moments of connection that you're going to purposefully build when you are feeling well are going to help you have a buffer, for a big buffer, and actually create more times when you are happy together than when you're disconnected together. More times where you feel connected than when you feel disconnected. So those moments where you feel disconnected, you have something to reflect on when you're grounding yourself, to say, okay, yeah, it's not that bad. We have some really good moments there, right? And so that's the key, is to create more good moments than bad moments, because with PTSD and menopause, the bad moments will come, but they don't have to stay and they don't have to linger. That's the key. You don't want to let them linger. You know, I hear so many times of people who have arguments and they don't talk to each other for days. This is absolutely unnecessary. And I know for those that it's happened to, I'm not judging, it can feel like that's all you can do. But do you know how much more stress that brings into your household to have that tension lingering for days? Do you know how awful that is for PTSD? Do you know how awful that is for menopause? It's easier to say, hey, let's cool off, and then let's come back and have that moment where we discuss what happened in a loving way, in a non-judgmental way that shows that you care about each other. And that is built over time of doing it, right? Because you're gonna have these conversations and you're gonna see what works. You're gonna see what escalates, right? The conversation, because then it's gonna be time to de-escalate. The goal is always to be de-escalating, okay? And so when you feel the conversation has escalated, then it's time for a timeout, for self-reflection, and sometimes for quiet. Because you're being quiet is not weakness. It's not saying that you're weak or that you're letting the other person run over you. And I know it can feel that way. It can really feel that way when you're going through menopause and you're all emotional and you just want to be heard and you want to feel connected. But we cannot force our connection, and we cannot force our viewpoint on others. And so that's what we need to remember. And so when it feels like we're forcing, then it's time to sit back. Maybe it's time for quiet. It's time to let them reflect. Because relationships in general, even without PTSD and menopause, are about compromise, right? Nobody 100% gets their way all the time. But when you're going through PTSD and menopause, the emotions that you feel are real, and you can really feel like you're right and you have to have what you want. So it's going to take that time when you're calming down, that grounding time, to be able to come back to a more rational thought process. Because in the moment, you're probably not being rational. And so that's what each of us needs to remember about ourselves, that maybe we're not, even though in the moment you might think you're being super rational, that stopping the conversation and going back to reflect will actually help you see where maybe you weren't being rational, or maybe where you could have given a little bit more. And that's how I like to look at it. I always try to look to see not how much more could I have taken, but what else could I have done and what else could I have given to that conversation to keep the situation from escalating into a super stressful situation. I hope that makes sense. The next thing I want to say is that healing and navigating these experiences takes time, and that's okay. Take a moment to celebrate small steps forward, like a day of good communication, a moment of understanding, or a calm discussion. Recognizing these victories reminds you both of the progress you're making and reinforces your efforts are paying off. Every step towards a lower stress relationship is worth celebrating. And sometimes that will mean removing people, places, and things that are bringing more stress, because you may have outside forces that don't realize what you're going through or don't know how to deal with it. And so even though we will try to explain to outside people what's going on, keeping those situations and people at bay to reduce the stress when necessary is also very important. As you find small ways to connect and sometimes disconnect where you need to maintain your peace is crucial. This helps build a foundation of understanding, patience, and resilience. And as you build that, you can bring other people in, because when you don't have it for yourself within your relationship, it's hard to bring other people in who are even going to start to understand what is happening. Remember that managing these experiences also do not happen overnight, and that's perfectly okay. Every moment of compassion and every act of kindness you share brings you closer to what really matters to you, and that's your relationship. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. You're both deserving of love, patience, and a relationship that brings you peace and joy, no matter what life throws at you. You've got this. Now, hit that like button, subscribe, and follow me for more empowering content. And until next time, keep that stress under control. Peace and love.